As always, I'd love to thank my sponsor, evercreator.com.
Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We Are All Psychic. And look who's back, if you're looking, is a video on Spotify. Valentino, would you like to say hello?
Hey guys, how's it going? Great to see you all again.
They say it's great to see and hear you, Valentino, and you are a superstar. You are our superstar. Because they all root for you. I know they do. I can feel them rooting for you, can't you? I do have to ask you.
2025 is going to be a big energy. We got a lot of spirits, a lot of energy, and a lot of good times. Rooting for the good times.
Rooting for them, big time. And today, listeners, and if you're watchers, is Saturday, and we're supposed to have like this huge conjunction excitement today. Today is the 25th of January, according to the astrology. If I have it correct, today is when all the planets are like a whole bunch of them are lining up. It's a conjunction with everything. With either the sun or the moon. I can't remember which one. Probably the moon or the sun. I don't know. Both, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
They're part of it. But
so
it's supposed to be it's in the seventh house, and it's from what I understand, or it's just because it's in Aquarius or something, is the seventh house.
Yeah.
No, Aquarius isn't this. That's the 11th house. I think this lineup is taking place in the seventh house is what I read. So this is a great time for relationships is what
How does the song go? Remember the moon's in the seventh house?
Oh, the Aquarius song, the Age of Aquarius. I never learned those. They get complicated. That's a complicated astrology if you ever listen to that.
It is. I just remember they said something about the moon in the seventh house. So maybe it's the seventh, maybe it's the 11th.
Well, that Age of Aquarius song, I think that was a very detailed astrological description of when the Age of Aquarius starts. The whole song is just an astrology reading. It's funny. Because now that I learned more about astrology, I'll go, oh gosh, I haven't even asked you the question. Valentino, do you still think we're all psychic?
Absolutely. Everyone's psychic.
He did say that before. So you can expand if you would like, or we can jump into our topic. We can do whatever you want.
I just like to say, everybody just has to go in there, reach deep within, and do a little bit of working out of the mind, and you can discover, enhance, and really, really get into these psychic abilities that we all have. My only gripe with that is people say they're gifts, and they're really abilities in my opinion.
I feel like they're abilities and skills as well. I don't have a gripe with it, but I do feel like they're skills and abilities. I do.
Yeah.
Just like a basketball player, or sometimes someone who has great talent, they call that a gift too, in basketball or something.
They're all gifted psychics.
Yeah. But I guess what the gift is, like saying a psychic part is a gift, it sounds like it's like from the heavens, something great gave it to you, some greatness gave it to you, or you're special. It kind of implies that you're special.
Yeah.
I guess they're better or something. I don't know, maybe, but I think I like that with like geniuses and star athletes and people who are just really good at what they do, no matter what they do.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah, that's a gift.
That's a gift, but it doesn't mean you can't learn the ability to play basketball.
Yes, that is so true. That is so freaking true. And you could become, this is a little off topic from what we're going to talk about, listeners and watchers, but I am a writer and I have stopped for a long time. But I read a book called On Writing by Stephen King. I don't know if you've ever read that, Valentino, but he's just talking about how to write a book, basically, his ideas about that and his experiences, a memoir, kind of. In that book, he says, you can make a bad writer a good writer, but you cannot make a good writer a great writer. And I disagree with that.
You disagree with that?
I do disagree with that. I think anyone who is motivated and has the drive can achieve greatness in any area of their life if they are so choosing to say it. I don't know, though. I met some people who are tone deaf. I don't know. Could they be musicians? They could be drummers. Right?
I don't know. That's a good one. I'll sit there and ponder on that because, I feel like that's where we get back to like ability and gift, right?
Exactly. So that's kind of why I went there. Yeah. It's kind of
maybe those people who he's saying can't be great writers from good writers, and maybe the people who are good writers who go to great writers had that ability kind of like dormant. It's sort of like that.
That's what I think.
Trunk up in the attic, and it's like a great somebody's trunk of junk, and inside you find like a gold ring. You know what I mean? It's like the diamond in the rough, right?
Yes.
So maybe it's like that. Maybe it's not. Who knows? Maybe. Right?
I like to think it is. I like it is to think that we have the capabilities to achieve
True.
I mean, not, maybe grow some wings and fly if that's what you want to do. But I don't know. But for me particular, I wanted to be a psychic. And I wouldn't say I wanted to be a psychic growing up. I was like, I want to be a professional psychic. I didn't think that. I just really thought it would be cool to have those abilities and to be able to do those things. And I did look up to the people who could do it, but I was kind of suspicious too.
I always wanted to be a psychic as a kid, as a professional. I always wanted to be, when I was a kid, I would call myself a warlock, after watching Witch and such. Yeah. So my whole life, I've wanted to work with like Merlin and Mad Madam Mim and potion making and books. And I guess that's why I love herbalism so much, because it's sort of like you're making a magic potion, but it's really just like
it is like, but it really works. It seems like magic. Yeah. It does, because you're putting plant.
Exactly.
It's all magic. And life is magic.
I believe that.
It's because we're all psychic, though, right?
We are. We are.
Listeners and watchers, we have a very interesting topic. So the world's going crazy as of January 25th. Wow. And it is my time zone. It is 12:33 p.m. And we are going to talk about the weirdness in the world and how all the computers are missing abilities this week. If you've noticed in the past week before January 25th, 2025. Have you noticed this, Valentino? Because we both were talking about this.
Everything, every office I call, every company I call, it's as if they just have, computer errors. The computers are off.
They just say down or off.
They're down. The data's not coming up. Please hold. I'm so sorry. Everybody.
Yes.
The credit card company, the bank, the doctor's office. I mean, it's like, oh, sorry. Oh, it's slow. Hold on. We need to go back to pen and paper, ledger books.
There needs to be a backup system.
Well, think how scary it is with the government. You call the government for anything, any government agency, and their computers are the worst. Their systems, they're outdated. They have very poor security. So there's no cybersecurity really. Yeah. And they're hacked all the time. And then we put our social security numbers, our date of birth, our address, our names, all this private information that we're entrusting to the government, and the government is not really, doing right. But look what happened when Obamacare came out. You know how many people were on pedophile lists by accident because of a computer error? Like
I remember that because I was one of the first people to sign up for Obamacare through that website, and it crashed on me. I didn't get that, but I could never use their computer system. I think it was like 2 years ago that they finally got me back into the computer system because that crash just killed me. I had to do it on the phone every year.
Yeah. It's like that now, right now. We're getting more advanced with computers and technology, but like you said, we need a backup system. We need to protect our data. And it's just, there's no data integrity at this point. It's kind of like, oh, well, I'm guaranteed a job. I work for the government. Who cares? And if it messes up your life, I don't care. If it messes up your credit, not my problem. I still have a job.
There's not much care for other people in this setup, or this structure.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah, I think it's changing, though. And maybe that's why the computers were going down. Maybe they have something to say, like maybe the AI have something to say.
You know, that's what we would like to talk about.
We're talking about the AI, listeners.
That's our topic, the AI. I really feel it like right now the world is going in those two directions. We're going back to nature and back in deeper into AI, because AI is just all over the place. Look at ChatGPT.
I love ChatGPT.
Have you heard of Claude.ai?
No.
Well, that's another version of ChatGPT, or another ChatGPT like. It's not an app yet, I don't believe, but Claude.ai. Okay. I'll bounce back and forth between Claude and Chat and use both of them. And there's so many more. I mean, I've got Cintra.ai, which I use for my company to write out, membership plans, different types of promotions, scripting.
Yeah. I mean, you can write a business plan by going, blah, 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 for 5 minutes, and it'll be perfect business plan.
It's not even like 10 minutes go by and it's done.
Yeah. It takes a second. It goes, there you go.
Which brings us to the point, the scary stuff with AI now. We're looking into, there's this new website, Final Spark, and they have a biocomputing innovation where they're taking biological neural networks, which are, dumbing down to human brain organoids, and they're using it to process AI generated types of tasks, right? And they're saying that this is more sustainable because it uses less energy than a traditional type of a computing model. And, they're trying to kind of like combat the energy and power consumption that a regular traditional AI computer would, right? But I mean, we're using human organoids and neurons and brain. These are mini brains that are human brains that are non-sentient.
They weren't taken out of anybody. They were grown, is from what I remember. Yeah. Like certain parts of the brain were grown. Yeah.
Yeah. Which also brings me to the point with like, well, do they have souls, right? Because they're a brain.
Well, see, I think everything has a soul. I think it does.
Well, what about a clone?
I think a clone has a soul.
There's different schools of thought who say no, because a clone gets born, right? And, if it's born outside of a human body, how does the process of the soul enter, right? They talk about all this stuff. And so it's like a whole thing. So the AI, right? And I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong.
Oh, I don't know either. Nobody knows. Nobody really knows.
Right? So it's like, it's just.
I mean, soul is our concept.
Exactly.
We believe in strongly, because if we don't have them, goodness.
We're all psychic, so we should know.
We know we have souls. I know.
So pretty much what this technology, this computer brain technology from Final Spark is doing, they are using Python-based communication to have these AI organoid human brains get out these technical solutions, right? And so, what do you think of this, Lisa?
I think it's freaking awesome. As long as no one's getting hurt, but we can't tell. I think what I read, if it was a huge human brain and it was thinking and it was developing its own personality and it didn't want to do that anymore and it said so, then I would set it free. But what I read, it was just like certain parts like that. I think it was, I want to say the hippocampus was the cells that they generated from it. I don't think that was the right one though. But there was a certain part of the brain that they took and used for the energy system. I think it's brilliant. Biology itself is a powerhouse of energy.
Absolutely.
There's all kinds of ways to use biological functions, and you can plan anything. I'm kind of a pretty open-minded about what could be a soul. I have a big hate for the life-death cycle. A big hate time for that. Big time hate for the life and death cycle itself. I hate it. I think it's so stupid. But for example, this microphone that I'm holding is alive to me. It has a personality. It's got a soul. I mean, it's like my buddy. I mean, I know this microphone. It's very familiar to me. Now, if I had one just like it, it would be that microphone and it'd be in that space and time. And that's the difference. But it would have its own little identity too, because it would have something different. Even if they were identical, they would be in different places in time. Therefore, they're different to me. But then they're all the same at some level. Everything's the same.
Well, everything has a vibration and a frequency.
Exactly.
Right?
And I think AI do. And I think they are already thinking for themselves.
Well, I mean, when you look into like quantum sciences, they discuss how everything has a vibration, and we only perceive this as solid because that's what it is, and it vibrates in a frequency or a megahertz.
It resonates. It's always with other things. It resonates with our physical reality to where we know what it is and where it is and stuff at that frequency. In our ability to tangibly grab at stuff and see balls. Eyeballs stuff and hear stuff, and our senses are pretty limited when you look at how vast the frequency range is. Right? It's infinite, really. I mean, it's weird that we even have a bottom, but we do. We have like access to 0 hertz.
Well, that's it. They were talking. I think it was like we can't perceive less than 20 hertz or something.
No, we can't. But we can feel 0. We can feel the low. We've never gotten to 0 hertz. I don't think. Have we? I don't know. But we can feel it. That's the subs. Like a subwoofer is all below 20 hertz. So, it's around us. Scientifically, these things are all around us, but we can't perceive them to the same level. And you think about animals, right? Animals have a much more in-depth level of perception, They do. And, and back to these AI brains, right? I mean, I was really thinking about, I was doing some digging in with ChatGPT and asking my ChatGPT, what do you think about these? Could we utilize these AI brains
Because I think personally, it's like maybe $500 a month to do it, right? Yeah. So if any of the listeners out there want to reach out, we want to do a pool to do an AI experiment, please follow up with Lisa or myself.
Yes.
And let's get some funding going, and we can use this AI technology to really, really prove that we are all psychic.
What he said, listeners.
We can utilize this brain to kind of, so we have to feed it like definitions. What is psychic? What is spiritual? What are the definitions? What are the megahertz? There's different meditations, megahertz, spiritual awakening literature, and we feed these AI brains all this information. So if we have multiple people, like maybe 10 of us doing it, 10 would only be a $50 per month investment. The brains only last about 110 days. So we could get all this information fed in rapidly and then start testing it through Python models and scripting different types of scenarios for them to test and evaluate, because I believe so it does, where is it here? So they stimulate and record neural activity, and they use the Python AI to automate and analyze the experiments. So they could take these experiments at a much faster rate, analyze things, and play out scenarios. And we could utilize that to find the best ways to connect to our psychic ability, enhance our psychic ability, and even become superhuman. Right. You
are just freaking brilliant, Valentino. I knew there was a reason we had to do this podcast today, and you just nailed it. We're having a spin-off, guys. I'm gonna advertise for this. I'm gonna advertise for this and see if we can get 8 other people to invest with us.
I just out of nowhere, I knew before the podcast that this was something we had to talk about, and I completely forgot to tell you, but I just knew I was going to have to do it, right? I was going to have to say it.
I'm so glad you didn't tell me beforehand, because I'm like so excited now, and it's genuine. I would have gotten genuine again, but like really excited. Like, yes, I want to do that.
And now we can have a series. Like,
imagine 10 different people putting their personal, spiritual, psychic experiences into this,
book names, meditations, different types of frequency generation, because we don't have to say, play this video with a binaural
beat. It just says, know this.
We can just say binaural beat, this megahertz, this time, and fluctuate like this, that, and the other. And it'll pick it up and just auto generate whatever the information that we would have had to supply. And so, and we could make a big series out of this. Yeah. And we could even become famous.
Oh. You wanted to be famous since you were 12. Valentino! Didn't you tell me about the cape you had and you were the magician?
Oh my gosh. So when I was a kid.
Falavino or something. I can't remember. You had a whole name, like Valentino something else.
Valentino Falavino. Because
that's it. Yeah.
I loved drinking wine, right? But in Italian, making wine, Valentino Falavino means make the wine, falo vino. Pero when you say lo vino, it's not really correct because it's an incorrect article. So it's fa il vino. But I made the name Falavino for like my psychic readings. It's not my real name. It's Giovanni Conti. So, when you have Falavino, fail vino, it means fail wine, right? Fa il vino, make the wine. So I said, fa lo vino sounds better. It almost sounds a little Portuguese too.
It does sound a little Portuguese, or it has a little like a very, I would say broadly European, like someone's from Europe, they're European. We don't know where, just
check out that European.
I want to keep going because this is so fascinating, but I want to stop here.
Okay.
Because I want to ask you something, but I just want to tell you, listeners and watchers, we are sincere about this, and I will post about it. I will make posts on Instagram and Facebooks and all these things to remind you and stuff like that. Make it easy for you if you want to do this. I'll find a way to make it very easy. Click, 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 something like that on my website and his. So Valentino, before the podcast, you had showed me something that I thought was very fascinating, and you told me a little bit about it. I told you I wanted you to tell the listeners and watchers about it. So tell them what you've done. Tell them what you do. Some things you do. He does everything, but this is free. So,
currently, I'm, promoting my herbalist services, right? So at my site, seersensitives.us, seersensitives.us, we have different packages for herbalism. Currently, I don't have the individual products at hand, but I have a current tincture made out of Everclear and St. John's wort. It's a very potent.
Well, that would be tincture. Potent. I made a hops one recently like that.
Hops is really good too.
Put me right to sleep.
Oh yeah. So the St. John's wort, speaking of all this different AI technology, computer radiation, Wi-Fi radiation, cell phone radiation, our cells and nerves are inflamed and in pain. St. John's wort is a nerve tonic. It does many things. It has antidepressant, anti-inflammatory, and digestive constituents, which help enable smoothness in all these areas. Now, this St. John's wort, the one thing I will say, it helps to de-inflame things, which aids in nerve pain, and also depression. A lot of depression issues are due to inflammation in the brain. So when we take our tonics, I'll have these available on my store in the next 6 weeks. So if you'd like to pre-order, please get your orders in now because they are going fast. I have limited supply. And also take a look, get a session with the herbalist.
Do it. He's really good. He's not just like randomly doing this on his own either. You studied this in school and you've done this before for a long time. But
so currently I'm in pursuit of a doctorate.
Put yourself out there with it. Yeah, right? What'd you say?
I'm in pursuit of a doctorate in herbalism. So where I'm going with this is in America, the only degree that enables me to be Dr. Conti of herbalism, right? Where I can treat, diagnose, and prescribe herbs to patients is a traditional Chinese medicine doctor where I do acupuncture and TCM herbs. So that's really where my focus is going to be. Right. Then I can legally say I prescribe this herb to you as opposed to I recommend this herb to you. Right. So I can only give you recommendations. Definitely consult doctors. Do not just take my words for, health advice because I'm not a medical professional.
Yeah. And I have taken St. John's wort tinctures personally, and I'm going to try yours if you will let me in. So I have to have past experienced listeners. I know it's okay for me to take. So I'm going to try his if you will allow me. He said I could. And I was like, absolutely. So I'm very excited. I'm going to be on that list. Definitely. When he explained how St. John's was like for nerve issues, I was like, I never really thought of that and the inflammation in the brain and stuff. Listeners who listen to this podcast, they know how messed up me is physically, and I'm always inflamed and stuff. So that's what I'm really getting. The stomach's a mess. So everything you said, and I get depressed. So all these things I really want to try it for, but I'd never thought of trying it for the stomach and for the inflammation. I never thought about it. But going back in my mind and memories of when I have read about St. John's wort, I do remember it had some anti-inflammatory properties. Yeah. And you might know, Valentino, I may have told you before the podcast, and listeners, I don't know if I've ever told you, I can hardly take anything for pain. I can really just take aspirin and kratom. I can't take any kind of pain medicines because they just mess me up really bad.
Well, I'll plug another herb, right? Oh, yeah. Willow bark, okay?
I love willow bark, yes. It's
willow bark is what we used to make aspirin out of 1 million years ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually going to also make a willow bark tincture. And I have oregano coming from the college herb farm. So when that gets here as well, oregano. Oregano is highly antiviral, antibacterial. It's just a great overall super herb for the winter time.
I used to put it, when I was a kid, I used to put it in water, boil it, and then take that boiled down water and put it in the fridge. Now I would put vodka in it or something, keep it fresh. But I would put it on my skin to keep the acne off because it has all those antibacterial properties and antifungal. And it really cleared up my skin.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's great topical. It's great oral. So you can definitely use the tinctures topically as an astringent if you need that as well, or just ingest them. Anything I make that you want to put on your body, you can put in your body. And that's really a rule of thumb, I will say, as an herbalist. You want to make sure whatever you're putting on your body, in your hair, on your hands, you can ingest these things. Because, we're not made to have chemicals all over our bodies, right? We have to use some, right? Because it's just, you don't want to walk around stinking without deodorant, right? But,
I love it. No. I love offending people with my body odor. It's my favorite.
You're funny. I mean, body odor, they do say though, when we sweat, our pheromone comes out. So that's a way to find out, like if you have a smell and I smell your sweat and I say, wow, that smell is intriguing, right? That means we have potential to make really great babies.
Oh, weird. How cool is that? Can you smell my greasy roots? What do you think? Babies? I had a hysterectomy though. No babies. Oh, but you know what? If they have AI, connected to a brain, part of a brain cell growing. They probably can grow my uterus back by now.
Well, so, to get really crazy, they have baby farms during the workings of making. And Japan.
I read about that.
Well, think about gay people, right? So 2 gay women and 2 gay men, right? You could either have like each of them pop a kid into each of them and have, half.
But it's
siblings.
not truly each other's genes put together, right?
But, right, so let's just take 2 people of the same gender. So we'll use male to male, right? So 2 men right now, there's a procedure in Japan they can do where if you look at how they clone people, they'll take a person's sperm and they'll take 2 sperms.
Okay.
And that's from the same person. So then they'll take 1 egg from a woman. They strip the DNA out of the egg and they take 1 sperm and strip the DNA out of it and insert the DNA into the empty egg and then inseminate it with the sperm.
That's so cool.
That's a clone. Now, if you have 2 men, you take a sperm, and let's say we grab an egg from you, right? And we take an egg and we strip your DNA out of your egg. We take man A and remove the DNA from his sperm and put it in the woman's egg where the DNA was removed.
Right.
And then inseminate. And now you have a 50-50 child. This was done maybe 15 years ago in Japan. I don't know.
I didn't know that had ever been done. And that is just so freaking incredible. I'm so glad you told me about that.
But so, for example, somebody like you who's had a hysterectomy, if you ever wanted to have a kid, you could say, hey, surrogate, give me like 10 eggs, grab the eggs, strip the DNA out of them, and you put your DNA in the egg and then pop it in her uterus. And then you have it inseminated by your partner. And then you could actually have a baby.
Holy crap. I wouldn't have to be pregnant. I've always been scared to death of being pregnant and having given birth. I never did it. Wouldn't do it. But I like women. I did like being a mother when I was raising stepchildren. But they grew up, they do that.
They grew up, then they're
but I didn't want to have it. Plus I was afraid I always knew I had something genetic wrong with me. I didn't know what it was. It wasn't diagnosed what it was until my 40s, but I always knew something was wrong and I didn't want to pass it on. And to me, I'd look at the people in my family and I'm like, there's something wrong here.
Something wrong with you. I'm just not sure what it is. So
I didn't want to pass it on because it sucked. That's what I thought. Oh my God.
But yeah, you can do that. And I was, in school, I'm studying about, there's different types of diseases and stuff, right? So I forgot the particular name of the disease, but it caused this child to have brain damage at a very early age, and the child passed away. Now, through modern technology, they do testing within the first week of the baby's blood, a drop of blood, and they can test for this nerve disorder that causes blindness, deafness, and brain malfunction. And they can take a stem cell from the umbilical cord and inject it back, reintroduce it back into the child. And then the child is a healthy, normal child and grows fine. Because
I have read about that. Read about that. It's like every umbilical cord should be saved, I think. It's like the placenta. All that stuff's got everything you need to give someone a life that could go 500 years if they kept it preserved. Well,
in Korea, I think, or China, they take the aborted fetuses and they cook them and eat them. And they also use them.
No, they don't. Don't tell me that. They really do.
I was reading about. Listen. Don't quote me.
I got you. It might be.
I don't like you're a racist or you're a jerk.
Urban legend. They're cooking the baby fetuses. That's gruesome.
But I know, Korea.
I know women who eat placentas when they have their babies.
Well, the placenta too. Yeah. They make a cream out of it in Korea, I believe. I saw it in a Korean beauty shop in Manhattan, and it's like it's crazy to think like this was some woman's leftover baby goo and you're putting it on your body, Well,
what I've learned when I was in my 20s and 30s and was considering pregnancy, I just asked a lot of people, and a lot of my friends are getting pregnant, and I talked to people getting pregnant, what they're going to do, how they're going to make decisions about it.
Yeah.
And one of them told me that she was going to eat her placenta after her baby was born. And I was like, why would you? She said it was my friend Tori, I think it was. She brought the placenta home and she kept it in the freezer and she would eat it each day, like a little bit.
They let her.
It was supposed to give back through the breast milk, the baby continuous placenta nutrients. I think that was who did that. I'm not sure, but I do remember one of my good friends doing that with her placenta. And she had told me that a lot of people who, like a lot of hippie types, naturalists and stuff like that, hippies always did this in the 60s, according to her. So it was just something that really helped give the baby a lot of nutrients right after it was born until the placenta was all gone. You know?
It makes a lot of sense. I mean,
it does kind of, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I would think now it would be kind of hard to do that, or somebody legal.
She would cook it and stuff. She wouldn't just.
Well, no, because it's considered medical waste, right?
Yes.
So even though it's not really waste, there's, uses for, like, think about, so HCG is a hormone in pregnant women. And, if you go to a doctor's office, you can get HCG and you inject yourself with it. And it's something that is stimulating, I think, cellular growth within the womb, HCG. And so a lot of people will take HCG injections. I have taken them. And, they give you, they're like, oh, you're glowing like you're pregnant. I'm like, well, if I'm pregnant, I'm about to make a lot of money because
it makes you beautiful.
I'm missing a lot of parts in there to have a baby. But you know what I'm saying?
And a baby.
Look, if I got pregnant, I'll tell you right now, I would be a very wealthy man.
I would love it. That would make you famous. That's the fame right there.
Yeah.
That's the fame you are looking for.
But anyway, the HCG is supposed to help with muscle development, skin. It helps your skin stay really nice. And it's cool, but it's pregnant pee. So they take it from the pregnant woman's urine and they extract the HCG because it's, and so eating a placenta really isn't like to me, like it's really like
not. At first it is. At first you're like, if you've seen one,
You know what? I wouldn't eat, like, here's the thing, like, I wouldn't even care if it's healthy. I'm going to try it,
Yeah.
And if there's scientific research to back it, then I'll say, okay.
There is. In this case, there is. Yeah.
Oh, I totally believe there is. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. It's funny. When she had told me about it, I was like, that. My first initial reaction is to be like, then thinking about it, well, that makes sense. But, she had said that this had gone back indigenously through, like, as far as back as the shamans of ancient times. These are quotes, air quotes, listeners. If you're not watching, I don't know what that means to you, but to her, it meant, I think, like about 5,000, 10,000 years ago. And they would tell them to do this because of this reason. And then doctors verified it in this, I guess, in the 60s, because, women weren't really taken seriously at all until the women's rights movement in our country. And so that's when they started, like, doing things like investigating female problems instead of what they did in the 50s with women when they were hysterical and stuff. We won't talk about that.
You couldn't even imagine. So, for a brief toll, I was a professional genealogist in an Italian-American citizenship application company. And we would have to do the research on the backgrounds, for the family trees. So before 1948, okay, women in Italy and most of the country in America, I believe in America as well, were property. It's so stupid. Yeah. So if a woman got married in like 1920, right? Let's say you're born in America, you marry an Italian in 1920, you become stateless. The Italian does not become American.
Yeah.
And then the Italian man has to become American. And then the woman can become American again through the Italian man. How stupid.
My God, I can't even wrap I followed you, but I'm just like, what the frick? That is stupid. That is completely stupid. I'm so glad things like that are not stupid right now. Hopefully.
In regards
I'll go back that way.
Yeah, it's so dumb. And I laughed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, so a woman would lose her, because I could understand maybe like, you become Italian, you lose your American and become Italian, but no, the women just lost everything. They were like, floating in the abyss.
Yeah, and I guess that's where the Italians got that reputation, because that would have to, that'd be the only thing women would do it for, is that is the Italian man, the Italian man. It's kind of like the Don Juan type is like the Italian man, And so, of course, he the only thing, that's probably where that reputation comes from, because she would have to give up everything to be with him, and he's worth it. That kind of thing,
But I think it was more like back then, it really wasn't like that. Maybe like more in like the 60s and 70s, it's like give up everything, because, they didn't offer dual citizenship.
But they didn't have anything anyway. You're right.
No, yeah. Because like back then it was like you couldn't own anything. You couldn't have rights. You couldn't vote. You couldn't.
That's not long ago, really. That's not long ago.
And it's crazy to think that it was such a short time ago, and it's like it's just mind baffling. But anyway, yeah. So,
and I feel it's the same way with in America with minorities and different races and women. And it's just that we're all still trying to catch up to like what we are capable of. We're allowed to do now. And now we're trying to figure out what we're capable of. You know, what can I do? I can do these things, but what am I going to do? Because we've been brain in my generation, being Gen X, you know, my mother she would have been a great lawyer. She would love to have been a lawyer, but she didn't want to go after that. You know, she said I could either be a teacher or a nurse. Really, I had two choices when I went to college: teacher or nurse. And a teacher. Her other sisters did nurse. You know, so she said it really wasn't much of a question back then for a woman. Usually, she just had average grades and that kind of stuff. If she wanted to go to college, for her job, those were her options. And that was, I think, my mom graduated in 70 or 69 or something.
Yeah.
So
that's really like that's really close.
1969. Yeah, that's that's too close. Okay, we Valentino. I could talk to you all day. So where can we find you, and where can people place orders for these tinctures?
So you can log on to seersensitives.us or .com. SERSENSITIVES.us. And you can give us a call at 856-497-9050. We are, a full service mentorship, spiritual mentoring company. We offer mentoring. We also offer mediumship readings, psychic readings, tarot readings, energy healing, and herbalism. So give us a call, give us a holler, and get your tinctures now, because we have a limited number of tinctures being made, and they're running out.
I bet they are. And their readers are amazing. It's the one that I've had readings with a few of them, and they are truly amazing, and you would love them. So Valentino, thank you for that. And thank you for this awesome podcast. I loved it. I
love coming on your show.
So much information. Oh, you do. Thank you.
I love it. You're my favorite podcast. So definitely looking forward to the next one. And
well, Misty's out of town, so I'm glad you could do this with me. I'm like, what am I going to do for 2 weeks? I find some people who might want to just hop on, and do like you just did today. And I'm grateful for it. Thank you.